Hey, y'all, you can grab a seat. So happy you have joined us here tonight. A couple more things I want to share before Luke comes up. First of all, we have some merch that we are going to start selling. We're going to put some graphics up here, and we want you guys to be able to check that out. And so we have decided to go with these type of hoodies and sweatshirts. They're $25. You can go online to our website and pay for it there because that's a lot easier. And, of course, we got Vibe Check, Eastside Christian Church. And that one was more just fun. It said, forklift your fam's saddies, okay? Look up Galatians 6:2, and you'll know what that means. We wanted to go with those. We thought those would be fun. But if you're interested in get one of those, again, go to the website, discovereastside.com. Now, going into my man Luke, a lot of you know Luke started as our middle school pastor a couple months ago, and he's a phenomenal pastor, friend, leader, and this is actually his first time being able to share with our high school ministry, so you guys got to give it up for him, all right? Okay? Are you guys ready for Luke? All right, guys. So at the count of three, we're going to scream as loud as we can and make him feel loved and welcomed. He's used to middle school ministry, which hygiene drops at least 5 points.
10.
And
at least 10.
yeah, in general.
It's way down there.
So at the count of three, we're going to go cray, cray. All right? 1, 2, 3.
Mediocre at best. The
That-
middle school was louder, and they had like half as many people.
Are you?
For real.
1, 2, 3.
All right.
All right. Roll with it, man.
Yes.
Social
Hey,
distancing.
COVID.
Okay.
COVID.
All right, here we go.
Watch yourself.
Have fun, guys.
What's up, guys? How are you guys tonight? Hi, Abby. What's up, Dream Team? How are you? Hey, guys. I am excited to be up here to share with you. Dylan, can you turn that fog off for me, bro? Thank you. I'm excited to be up here to share with you guys, to speak to you. And I say this meaning it more than probably you'll ever understand. It is such an honor to be able to present the gospel to you, to encourage you in your walk with Christ, to challenge you and where you're at in your faith, or if you're considering following Jesus. It's an honor every time that I have an opportunity to speak to 10 people, to 50 people, to 100 people. It's such an honor. So thank you guys for taking time out of your week. Thank you for being committed to being here. There's a lot of you here that have friends with you. There's a lot of you that are bringing friends every week. And that is phenomenal. That's phenomenal. And I love seeing what God's doing here at Eastside. I've been here about 3 months. And real briefly, I'm just going to tell you a little bit about myself. I've lived in Indiana for 6 years. I hail from the state of Kansas. So anybody here ever been through Kansas? Raise your hand if you've been through Kansas. And did you enjoy it? Keep your hand up if you enjoyed it. Only Paul. Right? And you? You enjoyed it? Okay, so Kansas is really boring. It's really flat, and that's where I'm from. But I moved out here in Indiana about 6 years ago, started working at a church up in Salem, about 50 minutes from here, and just recently had the opportunity to come down here and be a part of the team with Winston and Justin and Dylan, and I just love what God's doing here. So I want to talk to you guys tonight a little bit about our series. Anybody remember where we started on that 2 weeks ago? Winston challenged us to do what for others? What's the series called? Canceled, and it's about doing what for others? Love. It's about loving others. It's about not being a part of a cancel culture where we have differences, where we have different opinions, different things sometimes that we stand for. We dress differently than one another. We do things differently than one another. But we never should cancel each other out because God gives us our differences for a reason. And God wants us to pour into each other through our differences. And so Winston talked a couple weeks ago about loving others that are different from you. And there's one thing that I remember that Winston said to you guys and said to us here in this room is this. The one thing that I just held on to for the last couple weeks as I've been thinking about this message is this. He said, I love every one of you in here, even if I know you don't love me back. And that is the love of an incredible pastor that you guys have here. You guys have an incredible high school pastor in Winston. And I didn't say that to just give him a shout out, but seriously, he models what it looks like to love others. He models that. So I love where he started. Last week we had high school fun night. Give a shout out if you're at high school fun night. Woo woo! Is the winning volleyball team in the room anywhere? There's one, two, couple of us. All right, boo. Right now, good job winning the volleyball tournament. There was some people that shared at campfire, which was powerful. I mean, is every campfire like that for you guys? No? Is it higher or lower? Lower? Okay, so that we took it to another level. All right, then I got even higher expectations next time, okay? Because that was phenomenal. Those of you who shared your testimony, hearing Kendrick share about his journey coming to Eastside and what God's done in his life, and the rest of you that shared things that God is bringing you through, and how God is challenging you, and how God is making you better. I loved hearing those things. I could have stood out there in the freezing cold with smoke in my face all night long, listen to that stuff. So we had a fun night last week, and tonight we get to talk about Gen Z. And you all are Gen Z, right? I am on the back end of Gen Z. So does anybody know what year Gen Z starts? No? Earlier. 1995, you're close. 1996. All right, so if you're 34 and younger, you are Gen Z. Anybody have a guess for how old I am? 32. How old do I look? 34. I'm 31, but how old do I look? 19. All right, thanks, Paul. So, real quick, when I got to my first church up in Salem, the first time I met a couple of the students there over lunch, one of the students thought I was just a visiting student. Like, he was like, and then I started to get up and talk, and he was like, what's going on? I also got called, the pastor at my last church, my senior pastor, I also got mistaken to be his son, and he's only 32. So, not help myself out there with age, but hopefully that pays off for me later in life. But you guys are Gen Z, and I want to tell you guys a few things about yourself. You may already know this, or this may be news to you. You guys are the youngest, most ethnically diverse, and largest generation in American history. You guys comprise 27% of the entire population of the U.S. You guys are tech savvy. I agree with that. You guys care about your appearance. You have high standards for how you spend your time, both with people and online, right? You guys are in the middle of a digital revolution. So much has changed in the last 5 to 10 years. So much has changed digitally in the last 5 to 10 years. And you guys probably know a little bit of that, but just to give you some perspective, when I was in college in 2009 to 2013, Instagram really wasn't even a thing. I think it got released around 2011, 12-ish, and it didn't even really get big when I graduated college. There was no TikTok, there was no Snapchat, right? There was no cool people walking around with their pants rolled up at the bottom. Does anybody do that? Oh, okay, a lot of you. I don't know how to do it, and I probably don't have the right pants to do it. What else is cool in your generation? What's cool right now? What's trendy? What? You. Okay. What's trendy right now? Air Force Maxes. The mullet. Everybody up in Salem had those, and I just made fun of them, but I don't make fun of you. I love you, man. Yes. Dyed hair, yeah. All right. What else is trending right now? No, my hair is not permed. No, really. I might have a little hairspray in it, though. I can't lie. Yes. Shoes. Are Yeezys cool anymore? You got some? Online businesses. Anybody here got an online business? Ripped jeans. Haven't those always been cool? Kanye West. Stop it. Mom jeans. Are mom jeans popular? Raise your hand if mom jeans are popular. There's a couple dudes out there raising their hand. Okay. All right. Okay. Cool. So you guys have educated me a little bit on what's going on trend-wise in your culture. I can't keep up with it all, but it's crazy how much has changed over the past 5 years that I've seen change. And in ministry, it's crazy the perspective that God gives us as we grow in our faith. And here's what I mean by that. Something that I struggle with in ministry, but not really in just like my personal life, is comparison. Anybody in here struggle with comparison? Anybody want to be honest, struggle with comparison? Okay, a little bit. What about jealousy? Anybody here struggle with jealousy or ever been jealous? Jealous, envious. Okay. So I struggle with comparison when it comes to being a pastor sometimes. I struggle with that because I see other pastors and the way they communicate. I see that the way that they build their ministries. I see what they do for students and for their churches. And sometimes I've gotten caught up in the danger of comparison, and sometimes even being jealous of those things. And I know for you guys that may look different. It may look like jealousy or comparison to your friends or to another athlete or to someone in your family. It may look like wanting something that someone else has, right? Could be as simple as a phone, wanting a phone that you don't have. It could be followers on social media. It could be the clothing that people wear that's trendy. It could just be, the way that somebody carries themselves. Sometimes we can look at people and just think, man, how do they get friends so easy? How do they just talk to people? We got a lot of people in here, I'm sure, that aren't as extroverted as some, right? We can get caught up in all these type of comparisons, guys. And I just want to be real with you. Just because I serve in ministry, just because I have an opportunity to share with you guys and to pour into you and spend my time during the week studying and thinking of new ways that we can reach more students in this area for middle school, for high school with Winston. Just because I can do those things doesn't mean that I don't struggle with those things too. And it doesn't mean that I need to settle for that. And so I want to challenge you guys tonight for 15 more minutes, all right? I want to take more than 15 more minutes. I want you guys to really zone in to this topic of jealousy, okay? We're going to talk about jealousy. And usually when I share, I always ask for a lot of feedback. I mean, you guys have already noticed that, asking you guys questions, getting feedback. But I also really appreciate when people are vulnerable, when they're honest, when they'll share something in front of their peers. So I'm going to ask a question here about jealousy. What are you currently jealous of somebody else? And I want a few people in this room to share. Just throw up your hand if you're willing to share and shout it out. Yes, thank you. You can say it. Yeah, I thought I heard that right at first. Okay, skinny people, okay? Okay, thank you for being honest. What else are we jealous about? What are we jealous about right now? Yes. Okay, so you draw, you sketch, you're jealous of what other people can do that you maybe can't do yet. All right? Yet? You're working on it. Okay, what else are we jealous about? What else do we want that someone else has? Yes. Success? Okay? Yes. Making friends easy, right? Okay? Yeah, someone over here raised their hand. Yeah. How much money someone else has? And money equals what? More stuff, right? And it looks like things come easier for people with more money, right? Yeah, good. Yeah, Abby. Other people's knowledge, simply people being smarter than you, right? Okay? Anybody in this room that's like going for like valedictorian, salutatorian? Anybody? That was never me. I was just curious. Yes, you got something. Yes. Okay, people that just can keep it together. Yep. Yes. Okay. Okay. All right, putting a twist on jealousy being a positive thing, so we're jealous for the right things. We'll get to some of that. Yes. People, ooh, that's a good one. And a lot of people in here may not, may think like whatever, but people, Skylar said people have a good relationship with their parents. People have good stuff. Thank you guys for being open, sharing those things. We all have different things in life that we compare ourselves to, or different things in life that we see depending on the circle of influence we have around us, the people we spend our time with. I mean, there's so many different type of people groups in the way you guys operate just here that I see every week. I see some people hanging outside the door. I see some people shooting hoops. I see some people in here just chilling out. I see some people in here dancing like crazy to some of the same dances every week because they just want to get out and dance. I love it. But that's why God makes us different, right? God makes us different so that we can use our talents, our abilities, our passions to glorify Him. But when it comes to jealousy, when it comes to envy, when it comes to wanting things that other people have, those things can take root. Would you guys agree with that? They can take root in your heart. Do you guys agree with that? If it becomes something that we obsess over, if it becomes something so important that we act a certain way or we do something in a certain way so that people see us like that person. It can become obsessive. And actually, it can make us feel a certain way towards people. Like straight up, I've definitely, I don't know if I'd say I've hated people out of jealousy, but I've had some pretty negative thoughts and some pretty negative feelings toward people that had something that I didn't. Now, I remember being 14 years old and finding out that my parents had, years and years of unfaithfulness in their marriage and that they struggled. And all this while I grew up, I thought I had a family that was like normal. And I always remember, man, I love that my family is together. And then my parents split up. And it's like, I start looking at some of my friends and I'm just like, but how do you get that? How do you get that and I don't get that? How is that fair? How does that work out in life? So I've struggled with that. And it's prevented me from loving people the way God wants me to love people. I've canceled people out of my life. I've pushed them out. I've disregarded them. I've become resentful. Actually, something I'm kind of resentful for right now is my relationship with my dad because of that stuff with my mom. And that was a long time ago, like 17 years ago. And I still haven't fully worked it out. So there you go. I'm still working through that. Some resentment there, some anger there. We can all be in that place where we feel jealousy, we feel anger, we feel like it's not fair. And we feel like we've missed something that someone else has. But let me make sure you guys understand this, where I'm going with this. Just because you struggle with jealousy, and just because you struggle with wanting something or wanting what someone else has, or wanting that relationship, or wanting that status, just because you struggle with that doesn't mean that God's disregarded you. It doesn't mean that God has canceled you out. Because see, that's the amazing part about God's grace. And I love that Mateus shared about that grace up here. God is always showing us grace and always coming toward us. And He's just waiting for us to come back to Him. And when we come back to Him, when we give up some of that pride, some of that jealousy, some of those things that are right here in this room right now that you're struggling with, then you have freedom. You have freedom from those things. in 1 Samuel, there was a king, and he was made king over Israel by God. His name was Saul. Anybody here ever heard of the story of King Saul and King David, David and Goliath? Okay. So King Saul came before David, and he was called to be the king of Israel. And when he was called to be king, he was a good, godly man. That's why he was called to be king by the prophet. God selected him through the prophet. And at first, he started to do the things that God wanted him to do. He started serving God, giving him his whole heart, obeying him. But then Saul started to fall into some sin. He started doing things his own way. He started taking things that weren't rightfully his, that God said, no, this is how I want you to do this. We're going to read a little bit from 1 Samuel about Saul and about what he did that was out of jealousy, what he did that was out of hatred, the things that he struggled with. So Dylan, if you could throw that up there. I'm going to read to you just a little bit about King Saul and a little bit more backstory. David is called to be king while Saul is still king over Israel. But David, while being anointed as king, wasn't actually put in place to be king yet. Saul was still the king, and God was still working in that to put David into that place. This is after David has killed Goliath. David has led Saul's armies because David's the hero, right? I mean, he's the hero for so many people that learn about the Bible at a young age. It's like David and Goliath. He killed the giant. He started conquering the lands. People were just, basically worshiping the ground that he walked on because of what he did. They were praising him. They were just so excited about what David was doing for Israel because Saul was struggling. And as he did that, Saul became resentful. Saul became angry. Saul was jealous of what David did. There's actually a verse in here when David came home from a battle where they conquered some of their enemies, where the people were singing something along the lines of this. Saul has killed his thousands, but David his tens of thousands. And Saul heard that. And how do you think Saul felt about that? Probably not too good, right? He's the king over Israel, and everybody's bragging on David. David is following God's path. He's doing what he's supposed to do. But Saul became resentful and angry. So this is what happened. Saul told his son Jonathan and all the attendants to kill David. This is right after Saul has actually thrown a spear at David while David is playing the harp for Saul to try to make him feel Saul has this evil spirit that's come over him, and David is serving Saul. But Saul becomes so resentful and so angry and so jealous of David that he tries to kill him. But Jonathan had taken a great liking to David. They were best friends and warned him, "My father Saul is looking for a chance to kill you. Be on your guard tomorrow morning. Go into hiding and stay there." So Jonathan warns David. He warns David. And he says this, "I will go out and stand with my father in the field where you are. I'll speak to him about you and will tell you what I find out." Jonathan spoke well of David to Saul, his father, and said to him, "Let not the king do wrong to his servant David. He has not wronged you, and what he has done has benefited you greatly. He took his life in the hands when he killed the Philistine. The Lord won a great victory for all Israel, and you saw it and were glad. Why then would you do wrong to an innocent man like David by killing him for no reason?" Saul listened to Jonathan and took this oath, "As surely as the Lord lives, David will not be put to death." So Jonathan called David, told him the whole conversation. He brought him to Saul, and David was with Saul as before. Once more, war broke out, and David went out and fought the Philistines. He struck them with such force that they fled before him. But an evil spirit from the Lord came on Saul as he was sitting in his house with his spear in his hand while David was playing the lyre. Saul tried to pin him to the wall with his spear, but David eluded him as Saul drove the spear into the wall. That night, David made good his escape. Saul sent men to David's house to watch him, to kill him in the morning. But Michal, David's wife, warned him, "If you don't run for your life tonight, tomorrow you'll be killed." So Michal let David down through a window, and he fled and he escaped. So that's the story of David and Saul's relationship. David serving God, David being on the right path, Saul turning away from God, jealousy ruling over his life, flooding through his life. And I know a story in the Old Testament of two kings and battles being fought and spears being thrown is different than what you guys experience now when it comes to jealousy. But think about it. Think about it in these terms. Have you struggled with jealousy and it started small? Maybe you noticed somebody that was skinnier than you. Maybe you noticed somebody that got friends easier. Maybe you noticed somebody that was better at you at a certain hobby or a sport. Maybe you noticed somebody that just naturally existed around people and they were happy. And somehow you felt sad and you felt depressed. In those same ways, those things can start small, like it did for Saul earlier on in his life. Things started small. I used the analogy earlier with middle school about a white lie. So what's a white lie? Somebody tell me what a white lie is. What? Small lie? Okay. A blatant lie? Any other perspectives on what a white lie is? Yeah. Okay, a lie that kind of alludes to the truth but keeps that information, right? It can be a small thing. Yeah, did you, Paul? Okay. So a white lie is usually something that can start out smaller, right? It's something that we can kind of twist the truth a little bit, bend it, may not want to hurt someone's feelings. We may think, this really is not a big deal to say or to do because maybe it's going to keep someone from being hurt, or, it's not a huge deal. I remember, like, way back as a kid, just small little things that I would bend the truth on, small little things that I would use like a white lie in. But if you start to do that, it becomes easier to lie, right? It becomes easier to lie. And then the lies get bigger and bigger and worse and hurtful to people. And then all of a sudden you start hearing things about things that are being said behind your back, and false things about your friends, false things about yourself. You may even hear, you may hear something that damages your heart, causes you anxiety, causes you to be depressed, makes you feel no self-worth, and even though it's a lie. But those things start small. Those things start small and they grow and they grow and they take root in our heart. And when they take root in our heart, that's a dangerous place to be in. That's a dangerous place because that is where the devil has his foothold. That's where he uses comparison in your generation. That's where he uses jealousy, what others have, what others look like, what others are doing, spending their time doing, how much money they have, all the things that were mentioned. Those are the things that rob us of joy. Those are the things ultimately that rob us of an incredible relationship with God. And you guys know this. You guys know this from Winston, from your leaders that love you, that are investing in you every week, that are texting you. They're encouraging you to be here, to bring your friends here. They love you. They want you to have joy. They want you to have freedom. They want you to have the freedom that some of the people that shared at Campfire said that they're experiencing because they're just openly admitting where they're at. And they're stepping into the life that God has for them, even though it sucks. Even though they're going through crappy stuff. At home, with their friends, at school, wherever it is. The people here want you to have freedom. The people sitting next to you, your friends, they love you and they want you to have freedom. But that doesn't take place when we have jealousy, when we have envy in our life, when we struggle with comparison. And I read a couple things earlier today that I want to leave you with as you guys go to your groups. And it's called 7 Strategies for Fighting Jealousy. 7 strategies for fighting jealousy. So listen to these. First strategy, see clearly. Jealousy is an expression of selfishness, of pride. We need to see clearly what jealousy is and not just sweep it under the rug and just be like, yeah, I'm kind of a jealous person. Yeah, I struggle with this a little bit. See it for what it is. It's not of God. We need to be able to confess it openly to your friend that's here with you, that's accountable to you, to your life group leader, to the person helping you in your walk with God, or the person you've been wondering, should I give a little bit? Should I confess? Should I really open up and be real about who I am, where I am in life? We need to be able to confess that we have that in our life. We need to pray. I've struggled with the power of prayer in my life. There's times that I forget. I need to pray. I need to not just try to beat something and defeat something, and I just need to just pray and just give it to God. We need to pursue godly friendship. So many people here that have a relationship with God and want and need a godly friend. What would your life look like if some of your closest friends were godly friends and not just your friends that you went to school with, played sports with, had the same interests? What if they were actually godly friends? What if you actually had deep, godly friendships here within the student ministry? We need to identify idols in our life. Maybe your idol is how you look. Maybe it's what you do with your time. Maybe it's your phone. Maybe it's the sport you play. Maybe it's your grades. What are the idols in your life that are keeping you from giving over that jealousy to God? And this is my favorite one. We need to run to the gospel. Every time we struggle with jealousy, every time we struggle with comparison, we need to run to Jesus. We need to run to Jesus. Guys, I sometimes find myself just thinking, wow, God, you've really blessed me. Give me a family, give me a home, give me a church. You've given me food to eat, clothes to wear, a car to drive. You've given me so much friends, people that care about me, and yet I can still forget to run to Jesus every day, to go to Jesus first every day. And then I get sidetracked. And then I compare. And then I get jealous. So run to Jesus. Run to Jesus. That's what I want to leave you guys with as you get ready to go to your groups. Above everything else, run to him. Let me pray for you guys. Jesus, we thank you tonight for these incredible students here, God. Jesus, I thank you that you gave me the opportunity to share part of your gospel with them. And I know that I struggle, God, in my own life with comparison. I struggle with jealousy, God. And I oftentimes don't want to admit that it's a struggle, but God, it is. Even if it's a small thing that can take root in my heart and take me away from you. And God, I know there's got to be heaviness in this room on this topic. God, I know that people are fighting in here for their heart, for their life, God, for their well-being, for their relationship with you. God, I know some kids in here are fighting just to be here. And I just thank you, God, that you put them here so that they could run to you and take another step closer to you. So God, protect us from jealousy. Help us be jealous only of you. Help us run to you. Help us confess our faults, our comparisons, our jealousy. Maybe it takes place tonight in a life group. Wouldn't that be amazing, God? If we could start doing that together in our life groups, to just be open and be real and watch people come around us and love us and encourage us and pray for us. You alone are holy. You alone are mighty. You alone can make us clean. So please, Jesus, please speak life into these students in this area. Help us love each other and love you the way that you designed us to do that, with an open heart, with total abandon and total surrender, like giving our life to you and being baptized and making that decision. Hey, we fully surrender our life to you. Help us surrender tonight and be with us. Lord, be with us as we give those things to you. I thank you for this church. I thank you for these leaders in this room and preparing to meet in the life groups. I ask that you speak through their life group time. In Jesus' name, amen.
All right, guys, give it up for Luke. Thank you for sharing. Thank you. I love that last line. You got to run to Jesus. And so as we break off into groups, guys, remember that. Be raw, be vulnerable. This is a great opportunity to grow. If you haven't been here before and you want to jump into a group, come find me, and we'll get you set up. All right, guys, have a good week. And remember, the merch is on sale at discovereastside.com.